Here's the latest video weather briefing. This time we thought we'd provide you an update of the drought conditions across California. This is issued February 10th, 2015. This is Alex Tardy, meteorologist here at the National Weather Service in San Diego. The two images shown here, courtesy of NASA, these are MODIS imagery, and they show the difference between 2 years. On the right-hand side is a recent photo of Southern California showing the significant green up thanks to the wet December and then recent warm weather. On the left is 2014, a year ago, and you can see near the same time things were pretty much brown with little green up across the region. Now in January 2015, we saw extreme weather continue across California. Some parts of the state, as shown on the top figure, received no precipitation, especially Central California between Sacramento and San Francisco, much below normal for the month of January. Here in Southern California, we did receive rainfall, but it was still below normal. For February so far, a recent weather pattern or atmospheric river has delivered significant precipitation across at least 2/3 of the state, missing far Southern California. As shown here, the recent rainfall in February has brought 8 to 12 inches of rain in some of the wetter locations of the northern Sierra Nevada and the southern Cascades. Those are the areas shaded in red and purple exceeding 10 inches, just in 7-day period in February. So how are we doing so far across California and here in Southwest California? Since October 1, the water year, you can see most of the state remains in the yellow or tannish colors, which means we are below normal for this 1 year alone since October 1st, despite a very wet December 2014. There are some areas such as the North Coast and the Southern Cascades in Northern California where, with the recent event and events of December, they are running above normal. Take a look at the zoomed up version for Southwest California. You can see most of our region is about 50% to 85% of normal. We do have some locations across our higher trains still running above normal. Well, the drought has not gone away by any means. Here's the latest drought conditions across California. Most of the state is in the D3 extreme or D4 exceptional. In fact, about 80% of the state bleeding into Nevada and extending into southern Oregon. These conditions have been around for almost a year now, and these conditions are expected to continue for the most part. Now, what are the water conditions across the state in terms of water supply? Recent rainfall has brought some beneficial runoff to Northern California. We now are seeing reservoirs, the very large reservoirs that are between 3 and 4 million acre feet in capacity, are about half full, as shown here. Other smaller reservoirs not doing as well, but it varies across the state. The core region we look at is the northern Sierra Nevada and the Shasta Reservoir in far northern California. One thing that our recent storms have not brought to the state is snowfall. We did receive over a foot of snow at 8,000 feet in the recent storm across the Sierra Nevada, but most of the state, as shown here, is struggling to get a snowpack. The latest conditions show the percent of average is about 25% of where it should be, so about 1/4 the snowpack that we should have this time of year in February. Large high pressure in the atmosphere. What's causing this warm weather to continue after a record-breaking 2014? We have a block in the jet stream. That'll bring very warm conditions the rest of this week. Underneath that is a Santa Ana wind event that'll bring offshore flow, further drying out the air. Now we do look for some changes, and that change won't start until next week where the jet stream tries to come underneath the high pressure system in what we call undercutting it. Why is it so windy in Santa Ana wind events? Well, the big part is the mountains. The pressure gradient that sets up across Southern California is typically significant. It's offshore, so it blows from east to west, opposite of what the usual prevailing wind is, especially when we have a sea breeze. However, the mountains, the wind cannot go through the mountains. It goes up and around and in between the mountains. As shown here, fierce winds can develop on the west side of the mountains, which becomes the downward side or the lee side of the mountains because the wind is blowing east to west in the Santa Ana. The wind can get very enhanced, become trapped under all the warm air under that high pressure system I showed in the previous slide, and produce severe wind gusts on those downsloping sides of our mountain regions. If it wasn't for these mountains, the winds would not be nearly as strong. All right, do we expect a pattern change next week? Well, we briefly showed a slide about the undercutting of the high pressure area. That historically does bring wetter conditions to California, especially Southern California. So at this time, we're looking at a split in the jet stream, which does not support strong storms. It does support at least changing the pattern slightly enough to bring a little bit cooler conditions and, most importantly, bringing some precipitation to the region at the end of February. Now, here's a long-range outlook between February 17th and 20th. This is a collection of numerical weather prediction that shows the probability of 1 inch of precipitation anywhere across the extreme west. Here we'll focus on California. You can see there are shades of green across Southern California and shades of blue across Northern California. So this would indicate higher confidence of significant precipitation for Northern California and still some confidence of precipitation for Southern California that we may develop into some weather pattern change next week. The official outlook is shown here, and for the period February 18 through 24, so the latter half of February, we will focus on the temperatures on the left where there's high confidence of above normal temperatures continuing even after this warm episode under the high pressure region, and much below normal temperatures in the northeast. How about for precipitation? Well, that's where it gets a little dicey, and because of the split weather pattern, there is the potential of at least some precipitation making it into the region. And as shown here, that cuts across Southern California and then into the desert Southwest. These forecasts are updated daily from the Climate Prediction Center. Thanks for tuning in to this climate and drought update. Here are some links to information such as the Climate Prediction Center. And if you want to monitor the latest hazards from the National Weather Service, please follow these links above. Always check us out on Facebook and Twitter if you want additional information. Thanks for joining.